Welcome, dear students. We are going to the next chapter in Business Studies, Class 12, Planning. You know very well, in the first chapter, we learned what are the different functions of business organization. A management will perform functions like planning, organizing, directing, staffing, and controlling. And in this video, you are going to learn about what is planning and what are its features. So, planning, you know very well, without planning, we can't exist in this world. So, to plan, we have to need an intellectual brain. We have to plan everything for the successful life. So, planning is very essential. Without planning, we can't move. In business also, planning is very important because it is the first and foremost function. So, planning is nothing else looking about the future. It is a prediction. It is a prediction about the future. So, planning is a process of setting objectives by way of gathering information and analyzing it to forecast the future situations and selecting suitable course of action from available alternatives, following which the objectives can be achieved. So, in order to achieve the organizational objectives, we have to plan. And planning involves deciding in advance what is to be done in future, what to do, when to do, where to do, how to do, and for whom to do. And we have to look at the results and must be evaluated. So planning is the foremost function in management and it have lots of features. So we have to look at the characteristics of planning. Lot of characters are there. And the first one is planning is the primary function. As we said earlier, planning is the primary function of management. And without this planning, nothing is possible. So, what to do, when to do, for whom to do, it is possible only through planning. And planning is goal-oriented process. And it is a process of defining and achieving the goals. There can be, without any planning, it is not possible. To achieve goals, planning is essential. And it is an intellectual process. Every time, to draw a colorful inference, a solution, and prediction about the future, planning is necessary. And it will depend upon a lot of factors. Planning is all pervasive. All pervasive means it is available at all levels of management. It is available at all levels of management. So remember, it is another feature of planning. And it is a continuous process. Planning is a continuous process. Remember, without planning, we can't do anything. And from the very beginning of the organization up to the end, it will go. So it is a continuous process. Planning integrates all the activities in an organization. It integrates the different activities, maybe setting goals, collecting materials, everything in an organization, every materials, every activities are integrated. Then planning is efficiency and effectiveness. So planning helps to do everything in a right manner. Right things in a right manner can be possible only with the efficient, effective planning. And planning involves alternatives and choices. Every time, planning is based on alternatives, and we are selecting the best alternative to achieve goals. So it involves alternatives and choice. Planning is future-oriented process. Already we said planning is future-oriented. Why? Because we are predicting about the future. We are determining what will happen in future. So it is future-oriented. And planning is flexible. Planning is flexible in the sense it is every time depending upon the time, and it will change according to the time. So, these are all the important features or characteristics of planning. Hope all the points are very clear for you. Develop all the ideas by watching the video and again and again. And thanks for sharing all these videos in your friends. Please subscribe my channel for more videos. Thank you. Thank you so much. Points indicates the importance of planning. So planning is very important due to so many reasons. First of all, we have to learn what is the points that indicates importance of planning. So we have to learn each points in detail, how planning is very essential for the successful achievement of the organization. The first point is related to planning every time provides direction. So direction in the sense it provides proper instructions to achieve organizational goals. Just read it. Planning provides the direction and the sense of purpose for the organization, and it provides the broad targets to be achieved by the organization, and also planning defines the guidelines in terms of the policy and procedure following which the organization try to achieve the set targets. So every time to achieve the set targets, planning provides direction to the organization and its members. So that is why it is very important. Second one is it reduces the risk of uncertainty. So every time planning is forecasting. So by forecasting the future events, we can reduce the level of risk or loss that may happen to the organization. So future is always uncertainties. A business organization has to function in these uncertainties. It can operate successfully if it is able to predict the uncertainties. Thus, planning always helps in foreseeing all these uncertainties which may be caused by change in technology, so federal rules of the government, fashion and choice of customers. Lots of factors are there that will lead to loss or risk to the organization that can be curtailed by prediction. So that is planning very much important to reduce the uncertainty. The next one is unifying framework to achieve the objectives. Unifying, what is unifying? Unifying means bringing a team spirit, bringing all the elements and peoples in an organization under one roof. So unifying framework is another important feature that shows planning is very important. So the basic characteristics of planning is related to the organizational objectives. All the operations are planned to achieve the organizational objectives. So planning facilitates the achievement of objectives by focusing attention on them. It requires the clear definition of objectives so that the most appropriate alternative course of action can be chosen. So every time planning unifies all the elements in an organization to achieve its objectives. The next one is it helps for coordination. Planning always coordinates all the departmental activities. The effort of all peoples will be coordinated by planning to achieve the organizational objectives very effectively. Coordination is very essential to achieve the objectives of an organization. So with proper planning and coordination, we can integrate the efforts of all departments in an organization. So planning helps in setting better coordination among interdepartmental activity and clearly lay down the area of freedom in the development of various subplans, and various departments work in accordance with the overall plans of the action So, thus there is harmony in the organization and duplication of efforts and conflicts of jurisdictions are avoided. So, coordination is possible through better planning, and economy in operation is also possible through planning. So, without wasting the materials and effort and the time and money, we can bring better achievement and growth to the organization. That is economy in operation. So planning ensures economical operations because of the emphasis on efficiency. Since planning involves the selection of the best possible course of action, it is implied that best results would be achieved at the least possible cost. So planning tries to eliminate unproductive efforts of workers and different elements in an organization, which will help for the optimum utilization of all the elements in an organization without occurring wastage of time, money, material, men, etc. So it is possible only through planning. So it is also shows planning is very important. Next point which indicates the importance of planning is it facilitates control. Planning always the first step which helps for the last function in the organization. So controlling is the last function. It's not last, it is yet another function of management. So it will be better. Controlling of all the elements in an organization is possible through better planning. So planning ensures better control as when the activities are done on a planned manner. So if the activities of workers are not as per the planned manner, there will be corrective actions. So better planning helps for achieving the organizational objectives, also to rectify the deviation of different activities in an organization from the plans and policies of the organization. So planning always facilitates controlling all the elements in an organization to achieve the objectives very easily without deviating from the master plan. So that is why planning is also very important, and planning always encourages innovation and creativity. Innovation and creativity is very essential for the survival of the organization. You know very well, creative thinking is very important element, and that is an intellectual property which is very essential to attract the customers and for the survival of business in the world. So planning helps innovative and creative thinking among the managers, because many new ideas come into the mind of a manager when he is planning. It creates a forward-looking attitude among the managers. So creative thinking is also a prediction for the future. So planning is very essential to encourage innovation and creative thinking among all the members in an organization. So planning is very essential. It is very important for innovation and creative thinking. Next point is related to increase in competitive strength. Increase in competitive strength. So effective planning gives a competitive edge to the enterprise over other enterprises that do not have planning or have ineffective planning. This is because planning may involve expansion of capacity, change in work method, change in quality, anticipation of taste and fashion of people, and technological changes. So through better planning, we can eradicate the competition from other business firms. So better planning always helps for reducing the level of competition in the market. So remember, planning is very essential to increase in competitive strength of a particular organization. So planning is very important. We have to think one more point, that is it improves morale of workers. Planning always increases or improves the morale. It helps in defining the goals and the steps to achieve them, which in turn help in clearly define what is expected from the employees and how he or she is doing to achieve it. This helps in building positive morale in the employees. So every time when we are bringing the involvement of workers in the important planning process, indirectly it will give more opportunity to bring maximum performance from the part of the employees. So planning helps for improving morale of the workers. So these all are the points that indicates planning is very essential for the running and working and better performance of not only the workers, all other activities, functions in an organization. So we have to remember all these points. Just watch the video again and again to develop your own concepts. So we are moving to the next topic. So dear students, we are moving to the next topic from the chapter planning, that is limitation of planning. Limitation of planning. So planning is a best process, the primemost function, the primary function that helps for better running of the organization, but it has some limitations. We have to know that limitations also. So the limitations of planning involves, first point is lack of accurate information. Sometimes the firm will not get accurate information, apt information, reliable and valid information for the organization. So only through reliable information we can create best plans. Suppose the organization is conducting a survey to introduce a new product in the market. If they are not getting the positive and the right information from the customers, they can't take better decision and better plans. So always planning lacks accurate information. So accurate information helps for better generalization and better plans to do innovative and creative activities. So that is the first limitation, first point that shows the limitation of planning, lack of accurate information. And the next one is, we are going to learn the next point, that is lack of accurate forecast. Lack of accurate forecast. So it is a continuation of the first point. We are not getting accurate information, so we are not able to predict about the future very clearly or accurately. So planning is future oriented activity. Its success depends on the accuracy of the forecast or predictions made. The forecast or predictions depends on the information and its analysis, which cannot be completely reliable and accurate. So we will never get 100% accurate data from the market. So that will be essential for accurate data is essential for taking better predictions about the future. So inaccurate information from the customers and from the retailers or wholesalers will lead to negative decisions from the part of the management. So lack of accurate forecast is yet another limitation of planning. And next point is cost and time consuming complex process. Planning is time consuming process, complex process and more cost involved process. You know very well, it is an expensive process and it requires more time. We need the support of experts. We have to pay more money to them. And the managerial skill also, sometimes there will be lack of managerial skilled persons. So the collection of information, evaluation and selection of best alternative may not be possible within the limited time. So that is why planning is costly process, time consuming process and complex process. So remember this limitation also. Planning is it is not a process which can be completed within a single time. It needs more time, it needs more money. So it is a complex process. That is one of the limitation of planning. And next one is rigidity. Sometimes maybe due to the managerial decisions or the government policy, there will be rigidity in planning. It's not flexible in all cases. So planning may result in internal inflexibility and prudential rigidities. So as planning will decide the policy and procedure, hence the managers will execute all other actions guided by plans, which will restrict flexibility of decision making and actions. So due to the rigid plans, maybe the change in market condition or government policy, the managers will stick on the primary plans. They will never alter the plans according to the change in business condition, maybe or the natural calamities and the diseases we are facing now like COVID. They will never change the plans. They will be rigid. So it is one of the limitation of planning. And the next point is lack of specific goals. Sometimes planning is giving more importance for earning profit. They will never give importance for qualitative aspects. Qualitative objectives like social responsibility, management development, quality of work life, etc. They will never give much importance. They will give more importance for earning maximum profit. Once these objectives conflict the quantifiable ones, managers tend to ignore them totally. So the managers will give more importance for earning profit. Then planning cannot be effective unless goals are specific, clear and actionable. So every time specific goals, not the broad goals, specific goals are needed for achieving the organizational objectives. So planning requires highly talented managerials. So lack of planning skill is another limitation of planning. So the plans depends upon the planner without appropriate skills of analyzing information, prediction and formulating a suitable action. The planning will not show the desired results. Planning is an art and science. Hence the capability of one person will be different from other in devising a suitable plan. So every time if there is no qualified and highly talented person, managerial person, the planning will be a waste. So it depends upon, planning depends upon the appropriate skill of a manager. So you have to know it is an art. The manager should be a best artist. Only then planning will be very effective. So remember, it is the another limitation of planning. Lack of skilled, talented employees at the higher level. So planning needs such type of person having high quality, creative talents and skill. The next point of limitation is resistance to change. The planning is done usually by the top management, and for its implementation we require support of the middle and lower employees. So sometimes the employees at the lower level, they limit the effectiveness of plan. They will never support. They will resist. They will be against the plan of the top management. So at that time, the top management are unable to achieve the plans effectively. They are not able to implement the plans in the organization. That is another limitation of planning. And the last point of limitation shows false sense of security. Planning also tend to create a false sense of security in the organization, as the organization thinks that by following the plans in right perspective will yield the desired result. This makes them a bit more careless and they ignore the changes in the market. So they resist. The management is not able to achieve the objectives of the organization. So there is a false sense of security in planning. So they are not getting the actual result of the planned policies and activities due to some kind of carelessness from the part of the workers, or what it may be related to the management. So it may create a false sense of security in the organization. Why? Because the plans, they will think that the plan is going in the right perspective, but the workers are, sometimes the workers are not following the plans. It will leads to they are not able to achieve the organizational objectives. So there are a lot of limitations like this for the concept planning. I hope the ideas are very clear. Just read the contents again and again from the textbook and watch this video again to develop your own concepts related to the limitations of planning. Jai Hind, dear students. Today we are going to learn about the next topic in business studies, that is planning process. Planning process, or it is known as steps in planning. So the first step in planning process is, or planning is, setting objectives. So every time in an organization we have lot of different objectives. So with objectives, we are moving ahead. So objectives are guidelines which guides us to achieve something, maybe earning profit or survival of the business, like so. Lot of objectives are there, personal, social, official objectives are there. Here we have to set a well-defined objective. That is the first thing we have to remember. So objectives specify what the organization wants to achieve in future. So we have to set the aim or the goal or the objective to be achieved in future. That is setting objectives. So objectives can be set for the entire organization and stated in each department within the organization very clearly to determine how all departments would contribute toward overall objective. So the top level management will determine the objectives by consulting with the higher officials. Then they will communicate the same to all different departments through the different department heads. So setting objective is very important. Without an objective will be a waste effort done by the all members. Then these have to percolate down to all employees at all levels so that they understand how their actions contribute to achieving objectives. So you know very well the concept of scalar chain. The top decisions will be communicated through proper channels to the lower level workers. Up to the lower level workers, we have to communicate what is the exact objective of the organization. So setting objective is the first step in planning process. The next one is developing premises. So premises are tentative assumptions. Hypothesis, they are hypotheses to move ahead to achieve the objectives. These assumptions are called premises. These assumptions which provide the basis for planning are called premises. So two type of premises are there. Based on internal premises and external premises, the management will make plans and policies. So internal premises include factors like cost of the products they are going to produce, then capital to be needed, maybe fixed and working capital, and the amount of machinery, maybe traditional or modern. Then what is the amount of profit, the profitability needed, internal premises or assumptions. Then external premises is, it includes factors like the change in the new technology, then population growth in particular area where the business is running, competition in the market, and also we have to think about the government policy. Lot of policies are created by government, so based on all these factors we have to create a better plan. So we have to develop planning premises. So premises means some assumptions, some basic strategies, and next we have to identify alternative course of action. What is alternative course of action? So after setting all these objectives, managers make a list of alternatives through which the organization can achieve its objectives. As there can be many ways to achieve the objectives and managers must know all of them. So every time the organization will choose the best, cheap and profitable source of alternative for bringing product to the market. So the managers have to identify all these alternative courses of action that will lead for the achievement of objectives. So that is the third step. Then we have to, after identifying the alternative or the course or the source of action, we have to evaluate each alternative. So evaluation is the process to find out the best positive sides and negative aspects of each alternative. So when we choose one alternative to accomplish our objective, organizational objective, there will be some positive aspects and negative aspects. So we will prefer most feasible, feasible in the sense within the time limit before without wasting much energy, time, and finance. So we will choose that type of alternative that will give better result to the organization through considering all these aspects. So evaluation of alternative to find the best one is the next step in the planning process. Then after evaluation, we have to select the best alternative. That is the next step in planning process, selecting the best alternative based on some points. So real points of decision making, then best plan has to be adopted and implemented. And we have to bring an ideal plan, and the ideal plan must be most feasible in the sense we can finish the work within the time limit, and the plan must be profitable on and with the least negative consequences. Without facing much consequences, we have to implement the plan. So by considering all these factors, most feasible one, profitable one, and with the least negative consequence, we have to choose, select a best alternative. So most plans may not be subjected to mathematical analysis. The plans sometimes they will develop based on some assumptions or secondary data. So we have to consider some mathematical analysis also. Then only we can find out we can predict or we can create a best plan for the business field. And sometimes a combination of plans may be selected instead of the one best course. We will bring the average plan for bringing out maximum result. We will never depend upon the best plan. That is the thing. So after considering all these factors, the organization will select the best plan. Then next step is implementing the selected plan. So concerned with the putting the plan into action is the stage. So for implementing the plans, managers start organizing and assembling resources for it. So they will collect material resources. If suppose they need more employees, they will collect human resources. So also if they lack of financial support, they will find out the source for collecting financial resources also. So implementing plan will managers will undertake a lot of efforts with the support of all the resources in the organization. And last step in planning process is follow-up action. So follow-up action, once the plan is implemented, we have to check thoroughly. We have to monitor the plans whether it is going as per the schedule. So this involves monitoring the plans and ensuring the activities are performed according to the schedule. So whenever there are deviations from the plans, it can be found out very easily through follow-up action, and we can take immediate action to bring implementation according to the changes made by the top level. So, assessing the deviation from the plans created by the top management and taking immediate action, making action plans are the two different sub steps involved in follow up action. So, remember all these steps involved in planning process, all the areas are very relevant and from the exam point of view, this area is very important. Steps in planning is very important. So don't forget to remember and recall the steps involved in planning process. If you have any doubts, just ask me in the comment box. Thank you for watching. We will meet with the next video lesson. Thank you. Jane students, the last topic in planning is classification of plans. Classification of plans, it includes different wide variety of types of plans. So the first one is objectives. So without objective is one of the type of best category of plan. Without that indicates how an organization moves. So plans also shows how an organization moves. So every time objectives clearly states the goals to be achieved by the organization. So it indicates what are the aims and purposes of business organization. So remember, objectives another category comes under types of plan that clearly specifies the goals, aims, or basic purpose that organization wishes to achieve over varying periods of time. Then objectives are the ends towards which all organizational activities are aimed. So based on objectives, all the organizational activities are planned and objectives provides unity of direction to all the functions of the organization. You know very well whatever may be the activity. If we are not moving without a specific objective, we can't achieve. So objective is one of the type of plan coming under the category. So next one is policies. So policies are statements which act as guiding principles to govern action usually of routine and repetitive nature. Policies define the framework which guides thinking and action of the organizational members. You know very well, government organizations have one type of policy and the private organizations have different type of policy. Maybe in their working type, government organizations are following from 10 to 5, but private organizations are following different, maybe from 8 o'clock to 4 or 5 or maybe even 7 o'clock. So the policies shows it will be different in private and public organization, but it is a statement which shows what are the rules and regulations to be followed in the organization by the members. So it is also a plan to bring better result in the organization, objectives, then policies, and the next one is procedure. So every time when we are writing an exam or cooking some food, there will be some procedure and the procedures are based on some plans. So procedure is another type of plan. It includes series of steps, series of systematic steps which handles to achieve the organizational objectives. So just read it. A procedure is the defined series of related tasks or activities that has to be followed in a chronological sequence by which the work will be performed. So, procedure involves a series of activities or tasks in chronological sequence which helps to achieve organizational objectives. So, it denotes a list of systematic steps for handling events that occur regularly. So, policies are not a repetitive nature, but procedures are a repetitive type nature of plans. Then every organization may follow different steps for performance appraisal or sanctioning of leave, etc. That's all some examples related to procedure. So just remember the terms. It involves procedure involves chronological sequence and it will gain to achieve organization in a better way. So procedure, then methods. So normal meaning of the term method, it indicates the ways through which we are achieving something. Here in an organization, methods are sub-units of a procedure. They show clearly steps involved in a procedure. So when teachers like when teach the students, we are employing lecture method, activity oriented method, then digital classrooms we are using different steps to convey the concepts towards the students. So in organization also, the methods are sub units of procedure. Another type of plan which shows the different steps to be followed to achieve the organizational objectives. So the method indicates the technique to be employed to make the procedure effective. And the primary focus is on finding out the best way of doing a piece of work. So when we teach through lecture method, the classroom will be boring. But when we teach the students through digital classrooms with videos and animations, it will be very effective. So that is why method is another type of plan. And rules, you know very well, as a student you have to follow a lot of rules in the organization. So rules are also planned statements. It shows what is to be done in a right path. So rules are the statements defining what is expected and the outcomes or decisions that has to be taken in case there is no conformities of the requirements. Simplest and the most specific type of standing plans used for guiding what may or may not be done. Rules are more rigid and demand a specific action. So remember a simple sentence regarding rules. It is a statement that shows what may or may not be done by the workers in an organization. So these are the statements. Sometimes it will be that shows a rigidity in action. So rules are type of plan which guides the workers and members in an organization in right path what they have to do or not to do. So that is why it is another type of plan. So the next type of plan is programs. You know very well, in schools, lot of programs are there. In organization also, lot of programs are there. We have to think in detail how to divide the duties to undertake the program a successful one. So program is another type of plan. It's a single use plan. Why it is single use plan? When we complete that particular activity, the program and the schedule for the program is over. It is not repetitive in nature. It defines the steps in proper sequence that will be taken for the purpose of achieving a specific objective. So while we are creating some products also, we have to follow some programs. Some already prepared scripts will be there, menus will be there. We have to follow all that things to achieve the final output. So a program comprises of objectives, policies, procedures, rules, budgets, etc. So all of the type of plans comes under that helps or assist the programs. So programs are devised to achieve an objective and require some special non-routine initiative. So programs are type of plans which is prepared to achieve a goal which are not repetitive in nature. So remember, program is another type of plan. And projects, you know very well, project, when you complete a project with the support of some activities, with the support of some experts, it is there after some maturity or stipulated time, it is over. So like here in organization also, a project is a specific plan to achieve a discrete and well-defined cluster of activities and which will help achieving the general objectives of the company. Sometimes we are going to electrify our organization with the support of solar system. It is a small project for the project manager. When we purchase all the things, finding out the proper place for it and implementing the plan of action. And when we are starting to use the electricity from solar pan, the project is over. Like here also in every organization, Usually these type of tasks are executing a project to put under the charge of a project manager. Sometimes the project will be maybe for introducing a new product in the market. And the last one is budget. You know very well budget. Central government is also there, state government is also preparing budget, and a budget is a statement of expected outcomes expressed in numerical terms like cash outflow, increase in productivity. Budget always helps in envisaging the resource requirement and the expected outcome of activities in the organization. You know very well, government is preparing budgets by dividing the whole amount available in their hands. In organization also, the head of the organization, the managing directors will prepare a plan of action to increase the productivity of the organization with the available amount of money, material, and all other resources in the organization. So it acts as a tool of managerial control to regulate the resource allocation and to evaluate the results. So in budget, they are fixing some standards to be achieved with the resources available in their hand. So budget is a type of plan. So remember, all these type of plans are very essential for the successful running of an organization. Hope all the concepts from the chapter planning is very clear. If you have any doubts, you can ask me through comment in my YouTube channel, or you can contact me through email. So don't forget to remember all these points by recalling and recalling. You just watch the video again and again, and also read the textbook very thoroughly and deep. You can refer a lot of websites and other book materials, and you can develop your own self learning ideas are there. So thank you for watching my videos, and also thank you for being with me. Thank you for subscribing my channel. So thank you.